much. Ms. Cronus, please, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I'm very grateful to be here. I want to thank all of the witnesses for their presentations. Ms. Melville-Gray, I'd like to thank you for your presentation about the 127,000 Canadians from the UK who have a UK state pension that the UK refuses to index to inflation. As you know, almost 3,000 of the people in that community live in my community. And I'm wondering if you could just share with us in practical terms what a frozen pension means for a senior living on a fixed income in Canada, especially in the context of rising costs for housing, food, and healthcare.
Well, it means that they start to reduce the amount of food they eat. They cannot support themselves, and they start calling on the Canadian healthcare system and support system for other costs and so on. We know that about 50% of if you've been here for 20 or 30 years, you're down about 50% of the income that you should be getting. And you can't survive on that kind of funding in this current inflationary increase. So people split pills, they don't take their medications, they go to food banks. It's really a tragedy.
Thank you. And many of these pensioners paid into the UK system for decades. How do they see, or how does your organization see the fairness of having their pension value permanently frozen simply because they chose to retire in Canada?
Well, it's a current issue in terms of people who come here often to be with their families, for grandchildren. You know, they come to support their kids and their grandkids. But it's also a future issue. Listening to the other members today, why would somebody come from the UK when they've worked, let's say they've worked for 30 years, 20 years in the UK, they've paid in, they come here at the peak of their career to find out that if they chose to stay here, they will not be able to get an increase in their pension every year. We at least would expect to be able to keep up with the inflationary amounts, and that doesn't happen.
As you explained, this is a problem that is unique to some countries and not others. Have you ever been given a justification for why the UK provides annual increases in some countries but not in others?
The UK states that it's because they do not have a reciprocal social security agreement. We actually do have a reciprocal social security agreement, but it does not include pensions from the UK to Canada. It's simply a couple of paragraphs that are missing. It's a post-war thing that started with mostly Commonwealth countries. 50 Commonwealth countries are frozen. Every single one of the CPTPP countries are frozen. And it's an anomaly. So they pay 6 out of 10 overseas pensioners. They do not increase the annual amount for 4 out of 10 overseas pensioners.
Could the government of Canada be playing in advocating for our frozen British pensioners?
We need the government to advocate on our behalf because we are pushed aside by the UK because they feel we're far away. They don't need to deal with us. They've actually stated as recently as yesterday that their policy is to spend any pension money on UK pensioners, which would make sense if they weren't paying all of the ones in Europe and the USA specifically, as well as many other countries. So it's a discriminatory policy. We need Canada to stand up for us, to help us, to bring the UK to the table, because all we get are polite refusals. And when Canada asks the question as well, it's politely pushed away. It's time for Canada to take a stand.
Well, and this committee is here to advise the government of Canada in that regard. So if you could recommend, is there any sort of concrete action that this committee should consider taking to support you in your quest?
We would ask that you take a pause and require that as I put in my opening remarks, that you require that the government actually come to the table to negotiate a reciprocal social security agreement that is truly two-way, reciprocal. People need to be treated fairly and equally.
And just in the few seconds that I have left, I want to turn to Mr. Buckle. First of all, congratulations on 75 years. But has the British Chamber of Commerce, the British Chamber of Trade and Commerce been active on this file? Is there anything you can add?
So Some of our members are also explicitly members of Edwina's group, and as a chamber, I'm happy to leave her to speak on this because she's much more of an expert on it and she has focused on it. As say, some of our members, potentially me too, I'm not that far off becoming a pensioner myself. Some of our members are already in that position, and she and her organization have done such a tremendous job of raising the profile of this issue that I prefer to leave it to her.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lavoie.